Hi, it's Richard Jefferson from LawyersRock.com. Today I'm going to interview David Mitchell of DAM Media Group. Now, David's a media coach and he helps people prepare for their interviews with media. So that can include an artist or an actor or an executive even. He's going to give us some good tips on how to prepare for the interview, what you should say, and probably more importantly, what you should not say. So let's get right to it. David, welcome to LawyersRock.com. Let's jump right into it. What does a media coach do?
Typically, I get hired by publicists from the labels, managers, a couple of attorneys, and they usually call me in to assist their artists with interview prep. Whatever it has to do with the media, whether it's an interview for radio or TV or print interview or an online interview, to try to help them fine-tune their talking points, to try to get their message out, and to try to basically streamline that message within so many seconds or so many minutes. And whether they're out there to discuss their new album or their new film or some particular project that they're out there promoting at the time.
Well, it sounds like you should be in high demand. How'd you get your start?
Well, I actually question whether it's a high in-demand career. I don't get nearly enough customers, and even some of my mentors don't get nearly the amount of clients that we used to get. I think in this age of social media, people are really trying to I guess you could call it keeping it real. They don't want to get their artists too polished, or they don't put it in their budgets for their artists to get the type of development that they need. I got into this. I've been working for Urban Network for 16 years, and then I've published my own magazine for the last 5 years. And I've done well over 1,000 interviews. And I can really see the good interviews for the bad interviews. And I thought, hey, I think I can get in here and help a few artists and maybe even some executives. And so I've gotten a few calls, and people are happy with the results.
And that's a perfect segue to my next question. What are some of the common mistakes you see artists make in interviews?
Wow, common mistakes. I think it depends on the artist. Some artists tend to ramble. You also get those artists that get those mad fillers like, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And or they over gesture, or they don't filter themselves during interviews, or they just lose track of their talking points. And those are big things that we really try to concentrate and zero in on when I'm with the artist.
That brings to mind another good question. What if you're in an interview and you get that gotcha question, or you just don't want to talk about something? What's a good way to address that?
Right. Well, one of the things I try to reinforce during my coaching is always be in the moment. I know that's very Oprah-esque, but listen closely to the questions that are being asked of you. Try not to allow your mind to drift. And when you do get those questions that you're asked that may be uncomfortable or aren't a part of the, let's say, the agenda that was given prior to the interviewer by the publicist, I try to teach artists how to pivot. You know, there's those pivot answers that you can give to kind of get out of those uncomfortable questions. Also remember why you were there in the first place. You know, what is it that you are initially selling? I'm here to discuss my album or my film project or, you know, next week's game. So those are the things that we want to focus on. And I think that there are subtle ways in which you can pivot out of those uncomfortable or awkward moments. And I teach artists how to do that.
Well, it sounds like preparation is important. What are some tips you can share with the audience that will help them prepare for their interview?
Well, I always tell artists, you know, when that interview is being scheduled for you, you know, ask your publicist or your manager, who am I speaking with? What kind of interview? You know, is it a television interview? Because that's going to be treated differently than if it were an online interview or a radio interview where you may spend, you know, 20 minutes on the phone talking to an audience, or you may spend 20 minutes in the actual studio talking to an audience. And it becomes theater of the mind. I mean, there's just so many different facets to good interviewing. And I really take this course. The course is usually from anywhere from 6 to 8 hours over 2, sometimes 3 days, depending upon the attention span of the artist.
All great points, David. Thank you. Well, before you go, tell us a little bit more about yourself, how we get in contact with you, and how did you come up with that name Amalgamation for your magazine?
Well, I chose a pricey word to name the magazine, amalgamation, meaning a unification or a blend of many different elements. And you can find me at amalgamationmag.com. It's a wonderful site. We ask people to come and visit us. I put out an actual printed magazine quarterly, And this year, I'm partnering up with the Urban Network Digital. I was a part of Urban Network for 16 years, and we're bringing back the Music Entertainment Summit. It's going to be May 1st through the 4th at the Four Point Sheraton in San Diego, California.
Thank you, David, for the interview. Very good information. If anyone out there is looking for other types of information on the entertainment business, feel free to visit my website, lawyersrock.com.